Historically, on the A+ exam, they've always asked and expected you to be able to recognize display connectors, know the different types, be able to recognize these by looking at a picture. And it's not going to be any different on these new 2012 objectives. They are going to drop some of the older ones, introduce some new ones to you. And so let's look at 10 display connectors that you should be familiar with before you go take this exam. First up are the DVI connectors. Now notice there's DVI-D, DVI-I, and DVI-A. And so notice with DVI-I, you have single link that has this open area right here in the middle, and a dual link that has little boxes or little square receptacles all the way across. So the same thing for I and D. And notice I has 4 little holes over here by this little spacer, and DVI-D does not. Okay, DVI-A, notice it has a different configuration for the plugins. Just make sure that you can recognize these visually, and if you really want to nerd out, you can go read about the differences in the D, the I, and the A. But make sure you can recognize these visually before you go take the exam. Now, DisplayPort, this is something that's kind of new. Notice this is what a DisplayPort looks like, and you will see this little D symbol right here that you see, and you also see the D symbol here on the connector. This is the part that you're going to plug in. This is the port on the machine. You'll notice right here there's a little cutoff area where they've cut the corner on the DisplayPort, and you will see it right here as well. This looks kind of like a standard USB-A port, but it's got the little corner cut, and of course it's got the little D next to it, so you know that it's a DisplayPort. Then RCA jacks, these have been around for a while. This is what they look like on the male side. This is the female connections that you'll see on the back of your monitors, computers, other digital equipment. But this is an RCA jack. And then you'll have HD15, which is also English for VGA. And the VGA, this is a standard monitor connector that we've been using for years. Very easy to notice, very easy to recognize. And just remember, though, that a VGA connection is also an HD15. BNC, this looks like a coax cable, but it has this little part out here that we can twist and we can lock on to the port that we're connecting to, and you have to twist this to take it off. But anytime you have this coax type cable and you twist it to lock it, you're looking at a BNC connector. Then there's the mini HDMI, and I've got this picture here so you can see the difference. This is the standard HDMI. If you notice, it's got the little cupped area right here going down to the bottom, which is thinner, and the mini HDMI is just a little bit smaller than that, and it's a little bit less pronounced on this little swooping part going down. So that's the small one. There is the mini HDMI. And the RJ45 is your standard network cable that we've had all along. And again, this is probably one of the easiest questions on the exam to recognize, the RJ45. Just make sure you don't get it confused with that RJ11. Which is the small telephone type cable. Now the mini DIN 6 is what we know as a PS2 connection. This is a mini DIN connection. There used to be large DIN connections on the first few PCs. That went away. But again, most people know this as a PS2 connector. This is the male side of what it looks like, and this is where you plug it in to your computer or device. So just make sure you can recognize a mini DIN. And that's the 10 display connectors you need to be aware of. Just go through these a couple of times. Make sure you can visually recognize these things. And if you really want to nerd out, you can go read about each one just a little bit. But again, make sure you visually can identify each one of these 10 display connectors.